Alrighty, so let's talk Chaos Space Marines. So, Chaos Space Marines are pretty neat, right? I mean, there's so much customization that we can do with just this one troop choice. It's kind of ridiculous. I can do anything from have a ton of close combat attacks and reroll charge distance and all that jazz, to just being gods of shooting and that kind of deal. It's pretty awesome. So, where in all this customization, what direction do we take? How do we make these guys work? Well, first of all, you're going to want to start out with a good number. Alright, and that depends on the job you want them to do. I find that for anti-infantry, larger numbers work, and for anti-vehicle, smaller numbers work. Because when it comes to anti-infantry, every bolter counts, and when it comes to anti-vehicles, only the special weapons count. So you can take that how you want. So, a good loadout that I think, and this was just kind of me trying to make this little guy, the Warpsmith, work. So, he's got a little hair here. Oh, stupid. Anyway, so take him, bam. Take a sergeant with a combi melta, and then we take a melta gunner, and then we take a rhino with a combi melta as well. Now, the Warpsmith has a combi melta and a melta gun in his mecha tendrils. And then this guy's got the combi melta. So, altogether, that counts as 5 melta gun shots coming from one unit. Pretty crazy cool, if you ask me anyway. Now, the sergeant didn't need to be equipped with hardly anything, just a close combat weapon, because this guy's got 2 up armor, 6 attacks, AP2, all that jazz. So, he's kind of going to be the one taking those challenges. Now, the number of the squad doesn't really matter. Now, I can take the bare minimum of 6, because 5 plus the Warpsmith. Or I can do up to 9. The only problem is if I want to get him in that Rhino, I can't make him a 10-man squad, because you can only hold 10. Yay, Space Marines. Anyway, the point is that that's a really, really rugged anti-tank squad. I mean, be it a Land Raider, whatever, doesn't matter. They can do the job. Now, these guys usually sit behind an Aegis defense line for me. And then, if a Land Raider's kind of taking up one of my sides of the board, then they'll run out in their Rhino and take care of it. For the most part, though, they just sit and kind of just wait. And but that's just my Iron Warrior tactic in general. It's not really that squad. Anyway, next up, other squad that I like to do is 2 plasma guns and a bare bones sergeant. And the idea there is that that's my anti-infantry squad. They're there to kill pretty much any infantry, which, plasma guns really do a good job of killing just about anybody who's on 2 legs. So, that's pretty awesome. One thing you want to be aware of as you build your Chaos Space Marine squads is, what do you do with heavy weapons? How do you make heavy weapons work for you, and should you? I don't like heavy weapons on infantry squads, to be honest. Unless it's a dedicated anti-tank squad like Havocs or Devastators. I think that no matter what you do with an infantry squad, if there's a heavy weapon in it, you're going to be taking away from the role of that squad. Because if you put the last cannon in it, then you paid like 40 points almost for that model. And it's kind of wasted on an Imperial Guardsman. If you if you shoot at one of those. If you shoot at the tank, though, then the 130 points you spent on bolters is wasted. So there's no winning there if you put a heavy weapon in there. I will occasionally take one in smaller point games where I just desperately need some anti-tank. That's what this guy's for. Just in case I can't get the melta guns in there or something. Like, he's an option. He's available. I don't recommend him all the time, though. I would say that there's a very small window where a heavy weapon is good in an infantry squad. At least for us. For tactical Marines, take them all day long. But for Chaos Space Marines, not so much, because we can take 2 special weapons. Yeah! Next up, icons. Should you or should you not? And if you do, what should you take? So, if you've got a mark, you might as well go ahead and get the icon if you have a large squad. If it's a small squad, then not so much. But if you have a large squad, go ahead and take it, because it actually ends up being pretty good for the points. However, I don't like taking marks, primarily because I'm Iron Warriors. We don't usually take marks. If I do, it's going to be Mark of Corn, and that's kind of for fluff purposes. It's not really that useful, because I usually just end up shooting all day long. But the Icon of Wrath, pretty cool. I don't often take it, though. Icon of Vengeance would probably be my #1 choice as far as icons go, because that's, if you're going to be fearless, if you're going to be sitting on an objective, fearless helps you all day long. It ensures that you'll have to die to a man, which, since we don't have and they shall know no fear, fearless is the next best thing. So, anyway, overall, I think that the Chaos Space Marine squad's a really good choice. It's getting a lot of flack these days. I think it's just people getting upset with the Chaos Space Marine Codex for not being the most overpowered anymore. Cultists are still a good choice, and I think that you should take both regular Chaos Space Marines and cultists. I think it's important to have an elite core and have enough troops to fill it out. So, ultimately, though, I got to say that the Chaos Space Marines, as good as they are, they're still just, at the end of the day, a Space Marine, and their damage output isn't that high because of the bolter. But they're pretty rugged, so if you need somebody to survive, these guys usually do a pretty good job. All in all, I think that if you put them behind an Aegis defense line or inside of a bastion, like I do, you're really hard-pressed to get these guys to budge. They usually don't. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you got something out of this. And if you want me to do any kind of videos or anything, if you have any ideas, then just let me know. And hopefully you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.